energized. And in first gear, the solenoids are energized. We need them both on to get first gear. First gear is electronically achieved. Now, obviously hydraulics are used too, but without the electronics, we have no first gear. So hydraulically, what happened in first gear? The manual valve got moved to the D position, D4 position. Our line pressure is now fed into that D4 circuit. D4 fluid does a lot of stuff. It goes in a few places. One is it goes to the pressure switch assembly. And what happens at that switch? What does it do?
Builds pressure.
Well, it's going to build pressure. The switch is what? What's the NO stand for?
Normally open.
So when we pressurize it, we're going to close it to complete the path to ground. So again, it's going to pull the circuit low. I'm pointing that out to you because if you look, some of these switches are normally
Closed.
in C, normally closed. So when we pressurize it, they're going to open. So they're going to take it ground away.
D2, D3.
D4 fluid went over to that switch. It also went over to seat number 12 check valve, forcing the fluid through number 22 orifice, and it goes up to apply our forward clutch from there. Does everyone agree with that? It's going to some other places, but ignoring that for now. It's going past that number 22 orifice and up to apply our forward clutch, and at the same time, it's going to stroke our forward clutch piston, our accumulator piston. That's the accumulator that's inside the valve body here.
That's the one that we had to pick off.
No, you have not taken that off yet. Behind this cover, right here, that's your forward clutch accumulator. All right? And I got this off this switch. So we're stroking that forward clutch accumulator, again, spring pressure. That's the only thing affecting our garage shift feel is that spring pressure and that number 22 orifice. That's it. Notice D4 fluid also went down to our 1-2 shift valve. Everyone sees that? Where it's doing what?
Sitting there.
Sitting there, waiting. It also went over to our 1-2 accumulator valve. Excuse me, not our 1-2 accumulator valve, but our accumulator valve, where it filled up the accumulator circuit. Because remember, the valve would have been in a spring-loaded position. Actually, once we put it in D4, it's going to fill up that circuit, and it's going to push the valve over to fill up the accumulator circuit. Actually, excuse me, the valve is already pushed over to the it's open to the accumulator circuit. So we're going to fill it up. Some of that fluid is going to feed past the number 30 orifice to the back side of the valve and push the valve against spring pressure to close off the accumulator circuit. So we're going to fill it up, pressure is going to build up, then we're going to restrict the flow into the accumulator circuit from D4 fluid. So if I ask you what fluid feeds to the accumulator valve, the answer is D4
Torque signal.
is the one that feeds it. Torque signal is going to it, but torque signal is not feeding the valve, it's there to position the valve. It's one of the pressures that is helping to position the valve. And then accumulator fluid itself is helping to position the valve. So D4 went over there. Where else did D4? D4 went over to our forward abuse valve, which is normally closed. So the fluid's not going to go past the forward abuse valve. It's going to go through that number 22 orifice to apply the forward clutches. Unless we step on the throttle. What happens when we step on the throttle?
Pressure goes up.
Pressure goes up. So the pressure goes up enough to overcome spring pressure and allows forward D4 to feed into the forward clutch feed, and then it goes up bypassing that orifice to feed our forward clutch. And I told you that that was used, that forward abuse valve and the reverse abuse valve that we looked at a minute ago, are both used for what reason?
Wow.
Garage.
Well, they'll come into play for plowing. That's, yeah, GM put them in there, Hydromatic put them in there, so that if you did get stuck and you had to rock yourself out from being stuck, you're gonna put it in drive and step on the throttle. You're gonna go into reverse and step on the throttle, and drive and step on the throttle, and you keep doing that to rock the car out. Every time you do that, if you didn't have those abuse valves in there, you could cause slipping of the clutches and burn up the clutches. So they're there to prevent abuse, the effects of abuse. So our forward clutches are applied. That's all we need to get get first gear with the low reverse roller clutch holding the reaction carrier and the input internal gear. So our forward clutch is used to move us down the road. That provides our torque input to the planetary gear set. As we're driving down the road, vehicle speed is going up. The PCM is getting input from the vehicle speed sensor, from TPS, and when conditions are right, it's going to command an upshift.